school, then click on the 4K enrollment information link, and that will take you to everything you need to know. Currently, we're at 25 registrations. That's all I have.
Thank you. I do have a report from Kelly. Kelly was out of district today. We had 161 students at the high school winter formal dance this year. Thank you to Ms. Timmerman for planning and chaperoning, and to Mr. Graver, Mr. Robson for helping chaperone as well. And the next week we didn't have anyone test positive, so that was a concern that we had. So this past Friday we had career day at the high school, which was a wonderful event. All students were able to learn about different careers such as sonography and optometry. Thank you all for the thank you all to the presenters and Ms. Merwin for her time organizing the event. FFA is holding their leadership event here tonight, so we can hear them having a lot of fun out in the hallway, doing what they do. This includes various competitions such as Quiz Bowl, various speaking contests, and students from other schools in our area. Our vape detectors are now installed in the middle school and high school bathrooms. Our current procedure is for students to sign out of the classroom when leaving the bathroom or the office. If the detector goes off and they're the only one in there, we will be contacting the parents. If there's a group in there, we'll kind of keep track of those. And once they get to a third time, then we'll call them and let the parents know that, hey, maybe it's a coincidence or maybe there's something going on, but we wanted you to know that. So just so everybody knows, we'll always be behind the curve with this. Just know that ahead of time. We're doing our best, but we will always be behind the curve. Kids will find different places that we can't find. Luckily, we have a lot of kids that don't like that this goes on in their school, and they inform us of where it's going on and where to look and when to look, but we're always a little bit behind. So big thank you goes out to Russ and Avista in Platteville for a $1,000 donation to our students. It will be used to offset costs of items or trips students may not otherwise be able to afford to go on. And a group of middle school students had the opportunity to meet virtually with Mrs. Kathleen Stanford, who along with her husband Joe lived through the takeover of the American embassy in Iran, portrayed in the Oscar-winning film Argo, and escaped with help from the Canadians and the CIA. This was a wonderful opportunity for our kids to listen to people who had a firsthand knowledge of actual huge historical event. Gina was so excited, and I kept telling her how cool that was, and she said, "Oh, well, Tina did most of it." So thank you, Tina. As you're sitting here, she gave you a lot of credit, but really a wonderful experience for our kids to be able to hear from somebody who lived through the street with a front row seat.
Can I add to that today?
Yeah.
Today we talked to Catherine Coe. She was one of the two women that was a hostage. So we had a one-on-one with her today as well. It was super cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Yep.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Tina. All right, Heather.
Just an update, at the end of January, we are 58% through our fiscal year, and we had spent about 41% of our budget, which this is very comparable to where we were at last fiscal year. The business office has developed a new hire and exit checklist. The admin team is going to review that checklist, and then we are hoping that we can start using that checklist in the 22-23 school year. The business office is also exploring the option of using extracurricular contracts. I'll give you updates as things progress in that area. And then last week, the 22-23 teacher budgets were shared. And over the next several weeks, I will start creating all of the other department budgets, such as building and grounds, athletics, tech, transportation, etc. And just to reference our budget timeline, the first draft of our 22-23 budget should be done sometime during the month of May. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Awesome. I'll let you jump ahead of me.
So it's our turn to share what we are doing in our wellness department. It's just team effort. So two of us aren't here tonight. Rebecca Garrison is the elementary FIA teacher, and Tammy Budden is our wellness coordinator. We use her a lot in the fitness center. So this is our 4-people department, wellness. All right. So first is going to be the elementary school, which,
Swipe.
there it is, down at the bottom corner, right here. So yeah, my name's Austin Young. This is my third year teaching. So far, so good. Having a great time. So elementary phy ed. Last year, what they did, this was reported by Mrs. Garrison. So they did a lot of cross-curricular things. The students enjoyed drum fit, which is essentially an exercise ball that they get to express themselves through rhythm and dance. First and second grade was able to practice sight words. So they're kind of trying to cross subjects together in phy ed down there. Relevant and creative things, they did the Ninja Warrior course. The kids were able to create their own. It's kind of something, I don't know if you've heard of Ninja Warrior, but good report from that. They enjoyed that a lot. And then a big highlight here, the fifth grade was able to raise money. I'm not sure where the money went, but they were able to raise money during their jump roping unit called Heart Heroes. So they are doing a lot of good things down there. A couple more things. Yep, go ahead. So a couple more things. This year, what their focus is, first through fifth, they had a new thing called speed stacking. I don't know if you've ever seen the cups they stack up. It's not a heavy cardio type movement, but it's fine motor skills, eye-hand coordination, reaction time, upper body movement, and it puts students in challenging situations. So that's something new and different. That's pretty cool going on down there. Other things moving forward this spring, fourth and fifth grade will do geocaching, which is essentially they get to learn how to operate a compass and find treasures around the school property. And then this is a new thing, and this is something I worked on in college with Mrs. Garrison. We went to college together. It's called Plactive, and so it's picking up litter while being active, and that's something that we're trying to get to happen, maybe K-12, but possibly just elementary. What the kids will do is maybe run a 5K or way less than that or less than that, and they get rewards for how much litter they pick up, and it'll probably be on the school ground. So it's something new and different, pretty cool what they're doing down there. Okay, so middle school phy ed. This semester I have all of them, every single one. Sixth grade has a lot smaller classes. It's kind of nice, change of pace. You get to a lot more individual instruction with the younger kids. Seventh and eighth, pretty large classes, 30 of them at a time. So it's a lot of action, a lot of fun, and we're creative with what we're doing. The cool part is the fitness center use with our middle school students has happened. It's happening in sixth grade, seventh and eighth grade. What we do is split up. Half of them go with Mrs. Budden and they do a fitness circuit while I have the other half in the gym. And that allows for a lot more individual instruction. So that is a pretty positive thing that's happening. And that allows for our kids to be physically literate in the gym. A lot of reason people don't work out or stay active is because they don't really know what to do. So we want our kids to know what to do when they leave this place. And our goal with the middle school is get them moving. Skill development, yes, but the main goal every day is to get them moving, get them sweaty so we can send them to class all sweaty. It's always fun. Middle school phy ed's going very well. Okay, go ahead.
All right, thanks. So with the last 2 to 3 years of where we've been, everybody at school, PE was really interesting, really interesting spring of 2020, trying to teach workouts in front of your fireplace to your students, which was interesting until somebody joined our class and then we're like, that was done. They weren't one of our students. But we last year had to really we had some restrictions, obviously, in the board. I'm sure you're well aware of all those because you talked about them every week, but we couldn't share equipment. We had to be social distance. We had them in masks. We weren't changing clothes the first semester into PE clothes. So our whole semester into, late January last year was a lot of fitness because you can do fitness spaced out and not touch any real equipment. However, we're not changing and you're in a mask. So we had more of a focus on light fitness last year without any fitness assessments really happening. We added some yoga. A lot of kids liked the yoga and the stretch because to them it wasn't hard, but to some people who aren't flexible, that was hard. but it also tied into just kind of the mindset and some stress relaxation. So we actually, by accident, touched on some of that. Because of that level of PE last year being less competitive, not as much team-oriented sports, they really missed that. They're like, aren't we going to do volleyball? Aren't we going to do this? Aren't we going to play the games, some of the low organized games that we do? Getting back to that this year was basically where we were. We get them 2 or 3 days a week, and classes are quick. Last year we had them 1.3 days a week with the block schedule. So we were able to stretch that out. That was a long time to have kids in the gym. But I'll be honest with you, we talked about this and we've surveyed our kids on their tests. They were so glad to not look at a screen, and no offense to my staff here, our staff, we know they needed to let go. So this year we're like, you know what, let's take a step back from the fitness. Not that it's not important, but let's get them going. And right now we're finishing up our badminton unit, which is one of our most favorite units, and they're doing a great job and having a good time. With our Fridays being shorter days with the 2:00 early release, 1:45 for them, we don't have them change. And we did tie into some meditation and stress relaxation this year, and somewhat new for Austin and I too, but they're video led. And the reaction we got, because I'm like, they're going to hate it. But when the lights went off, they loved it. And it was 20 minutes max, and it was video guided. And again, surveyed them in the final exam. And for kids that I didn't expect to say that they liked it, a lot of the athletes liked it because it just took them places. A couple of them wrote, I liked it because I slept. And we didn't care because we wanted them to do something for them. And with that Friday class, that's just kind of where we're at. So now with all that transition, next year, we're working towards semesterized PE, which will be something that's never happened here. It's everyday PE for a semester. And we are now creating kind of what our semester will look like and the units that will be offered. And it's going to be a little bit trial and error next year, but they'll get activity every single day. Still a little bit concerned about if that's good, because I'm old school and I think everybody should be active as much as they can all year round. But a lot of our kids are active pretty regularly. So that's one of our big projects going into next year. Just a little bit of data here. So most of you are well aware that we do the the Fitness Gram fitness tests and the standards that we try to meet. Back in 2019 and 20, pre-COVID, we had the PACER standards of percents met for Q1 and Q2, where they meet their age and gender fitness standards, 66% and 64. All right, we're okay with that. We did not get to complete that assessment during Q3 and Q4 because we were shut down. Last year, we didn't do any pacers due to the circumstances we had. They were in masks. It wasn't probably the safest thing to do. So our fitness was more short-lived, some fitness center, cardio. So we didn't have any measurement. So we were really interested to see what would happen this year. And yes, it dropped, which didn't really surprise us. But at the same time, they're right there, and they're emerging to try to stay in that range where we want them. And like I said on that previous slide, we have done more activity to kind of fill the gap from last year because they really missed some of those activities. We were focusing on fitness. It was just pieces of fitness, where this is more of a big standard for us to stay on top of. So we will see where we go here second semester. And I think a lot of the kids realize that it's one assessment, but the challenge is out there for them to get better each time. And most of them have always improved. If not one pacer, it's multiples. Okay, and I'll go with the health too. So the big thing for our health is, for the first time this year, we hope it's going to stay the same. We're going to have health set up and it's going to be consistent. So Austin's been teaching middle school health, and since I've been here, which is a few years, it's been all over the place. It is now in 7th grade for a semester, and then they will get it in high school for a semester in 10th grade. And we are in the year of resources. We are shopping right now and looking at what we want to get for not necessarily just textbook, it's online materials and supplementary materials. However, we are really pushing for what he teaches them in 7th grade is obviously going to transition to 10th grade. And there's not going to be such a block of, well, what did you have and what did you do? Because it's been that way for quite a while. So we're putting a high emphasis on that. So we're going to get our resources hopefully for summer to look that over. Very excited about that. And hopefully we keep our schedule working this way, exposing both levels to more of what everybody's talking about, mental and emotional health, healthy relationships, and positive decision-making, which obviously 7th graders need, 10th graders need, and this whole room needs. So we're excited about the fact too, we can like tie into what they're telling us that, you know, kids need this, and we're not afraid to talk about it at school because kids want to talk about it. So that will be our big change for next year, is more just the resources, but the idea of seeing where Austin and I can go with that transition from 7th to 10th grade in health class.
All right. So I'm really excited about this fall. We're implementing a strength and conditioning class for our high school. And I think that's something that's definitely needed. If you look at Mineral Point, Darlington, they all have a strength and conditioning class for their students, not just athletes, for everybody. Okay. So looking at a resource for that, this falls into our resource budget. So we're going to order, looking to order, it's called Platform. It's a digital resource. It's, I would say, one step further than Team Builder, which we currently have. It's something that's really easily, you can measure students' progress, hold them accountable, and all those good things. So I'm really excited to get this moving. It sounds like we might have a few sections of it, 1 or 2 classes already. And I believe I'll be taking the helm on that. And if we have more, it could be spread out. So the idea here is we want to promote fitness and overall health. We want students to learn these lifelong skills. Like I said, knowing what to do. It benefits everybody, not only athletics, obviously, but just students who want to better themselves. So it benefits everybody. And then summer school this summer, I'm hopeful that I get a middle school level class and a high school level class. Last summer in June, ran a high school strength and conditioning class and had like 40 kids sign up for it. And so we ran that early in the morning, made them get up at 5:30, get there at 6. Just kind of instilling those good habits. And so I'm looking forward to this summer to start that. And then next fall, we're really going to get that rolling. So really excited about this. Yeah, so 22-23, we have 2 PE classes that we're offering. General Phy Ed, which is what we're doing now with a little bit of a twist, and then strength and conditioning. And then we're talking 23-24 to add a 3rd class, a wellness-based class where you do yoga, mindfulness, everything that would be not the norm Phy Ed type stuff to reach all of our students. So we're trying to have a lot more options for our students looking into the future.
With that big new gym we're going to get, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Anyone have any questions?
So the strength and conditioning is in addition to the general PE, or if you take that, that takes care of your PE requirement?
If you take that, that will count as a PE requirement. Yep. And we have a prerequisite. So our freshmen need to take general Phy Ed in order to get those things. And with general Phy Ed, they do have an introduction to training principles and strength and other things like that. So they'll have a little background when they are able to take it as sophomores. Yep. So if a student after their first general Phy Ed wants to take strength and conditioning every semester for the rest of their high school career, they'll be able to do that.
Is PE required 6 semesters or all 8 semesters?
3, you need, well,
3
what is it now?
I think our graduation
Three
rate is 3.
1.5 semesters, so they need 1.5 credits. Generally, they have PE now, freshman, sophomore, junior year, and if seniors choose to take it, like Austin's running a senior-only PE. We just tried it out the last year or so. And we're hoping, we know already that when you have a choice, right, and you're not scheduled for PE, that strength and conditioning and possibly adding to that will give those kids that when they're seniors another choice of being active.
Would it ever be an option if, and I've heard this happening, and I don't know if this is a state thing or what we required for a curriculum. I'm all with you, like the more they can learn and get different exposure to different health avenues. But if a student is in a sport during that semester, could they use that time that they would have PE for another class that they may want to take?
That is really a local school board decision.
Okay.
So that would be it. you'd have to change the graduation requirements, but the school board sets them.
Anything else? Right. Thank you.
Thank you both, appreciate it.
Thank you.
And as much as you probably would love to sit through the rest of the meeting, we understand if you guys are done and you want to leave. Okay, elementary school report. On January 27th, we had 3 fourth graders compete at the Math 24 contest at CESA 3. These students participated in tournament series along with peers and placed in the top 3. They then participated in 4 rounds of individual play at tables of 4 students. For each round, players, the winner of each table received a token. We had 3 participants, and they were Sean Alexander, Xander File, and Judah Hare. Congratulations to all of them. On February 1st, we had 3 fifth graders compete at their grade level Math 24 competition. The 3 participants were Zoe Lade, Mason Kirk, and Lily Shireman. And students in 5th through 8th grade participated in the annual Knights of Columbus Math and Spelling Contest for all schools within the Madison Diocese. For the 5th grade participants, we had 2 students that scored in the top 2 places. For spelling, 5th grade Kennedy Pickle is the 2nd place alternate. For math, 5th grader Mason Kirk took the top score of 1st place, and students have been given instructions for the next level of competition. So congratulations and good luck to them. On Monday, February 7th, some of you were probably there. The 4th and 5th grade students were invited to perform the national anthem prior to the varsity basketball game. Mrs. Katie Audetta worked with both classes and had a fantastic showing of 51 students for the performance, which was very cute. That's everything for elementary. In district news, last week we had our first week of the school year where we had all 3 schools had 0 active cases of COVID for the week, which we were really excited about in our COVID team. This week we had a couple cases, but our numbers of active cases in school in February are down quite a bit. At the county level, we had our county meeting yesterday. Our 2-week numbers have decreased a lot from our January numbers, where we were averaging about 85 cases with many days where we had over 100 cases in the county. And this week we're closer to 24 active cases a day, and some days have even been in single digits. So hospitalizations for this year already, 2022 in Grant County for school-age children is 1. So that was something we learned yesterday. A big congratulations goes out to our boys basketball coach, Jerry Pettigrew, for reaching 1,000 varsity wins recently. Coach Pettigrew was highlighted in many newspaper articles, radio and television channels, and online stories, representing Cuba City High School and the district very well. He is just the 17th coach in the United States to reach this level of success. Our personnel committee has been meeting on a regular basis, and last week we heard from a vendor on a possible new compensation program for staff. We've been working with both our certified staff as well as our support staff every month. The personnel committee meeting has on developing a compensation program that is predictable, sustainable, and accurately reflects the aspects of different jobs in the district. The teacher group looked at other models and asked that we develop a model based on the Prairie du Chien model. This was predictable, sustainable, and increased the starting and ending pay for our teachers, but the group did not want us to continue with that model. So we brought in somebody else. This model from Dynamico has different software that allows us to create different responsibilities and different groups, and allows us to weight those based on what's important in our district. So we had that presentation. We have a current survey that's going out to the people on the personnel committee meeting to get their questions and concerns about it, which we'll address later. But that's kind of where we are, just to give you an update on where we are with the personnel committee. That's all I have for district report.
Thank you, Aaron. I assume there's no public recognition?
Nobody? Okay.
All right. And we'll start our discussion.
Yeah, so Gary actually asked me to look into what an early retirement option would be. We're looking at 4.6% CPI, which in our district would cost us close to $275,000 if we gave everybody a CPI increase. And so CESA 3 was looking at some early retirement options, and Gary's on the board. And he said, what would that look like? And so he asked me, I had Heather look through it to see who would be eligible. We used just some preliminary numbers. They had to be at least 55 years old, and they had to have, I think, our model had 15 years of local experience, so that the total number had to be 70 or whatever that happened to be. That number we could certainly alter, but WRS eligible starts at 55. So 55 plus something. And the reason we use either local experience or total experience, and Heather had a good reason for using local experience. You don't want people to say, well, I want to teach my last 3 years at Cuba City because they might have this package. So we want to reward the people who have been there. And the last 2 years for our teachers who are at that age have been very difficult, and this might provide a softer landing for them in retirement as well. So we looked at it, and I talked with every person who was eligible for it to see if they were like, that's a great idea. Yes, I would take it. I'm interested in learning more, or no. And we got 1 yes, we got 5 I'm interested, and 1 no. So basically what it would be is if they decided to go in for early retirement, this is as Dodgeville, Fenimore, and CISA 3 all have similar processes. If they decide to retire and let us know, then they would get a $12,000 TSA for the next 3 years, with the intention of that being used to help with insurance costs. They could stay on our insurance in Cobra. It's not really our insurance, but it's the patch in between ending your insurance and getting your own for 18 months. And that would be less than the $1,000 that they're giving them that they would get in the TSA. They don't have to use it. They can really use it for anything. We tried to find out what's the best way for teachers, like the tax impact, and no matter what way we went around it, if we give teachers a TSA, they're going to have to pay tax on it. So that would be taxable. So and that would be for 3 years. So over the course of 3 years, they would get a $36,000 payout. Hopefully that helps offset the cost of insurance for 3 years. But with several of our teachers who total costs of having them employed might be between $90,000 and $100,000. And then we replace those with people who were total in and 50. We're still, making some gains there towards the high CPI. So that's kind of what we're thinking about. You guys do have a link there that shows what we would do for, if that's for everybody, if we open up for support staff certified and admin versus just certified. Fenimore and Dodgeville both started with just certified, and then other years they would make that available depending on the group. So if you have a large group of people that are all very close is when people tend to do that. We do have a large group that's very close right now in the certified. So that's where the big gains come. There's not as much gains if you look at the chart in the support staff, and only one of our admins would qualify for that. So I wanted to just kind of explain what we're thinking right now. And really what I want to get is, do you guys want to pursue this and have me bring something back at the next meeting that's more formalized? If you want me to do that, I've already talked with Becky and the CCEA. I would meet with them and we'd go through that together. We would probably have a separate personnel committee and present that to the personnel committee meeting and then bring it to the full board. If this is something, because I know this has been talked about like even before I got here, and some board members like, nope, we don't want to do that, because if we just wait for a while, they'll retire and then we get even more savings. So I just want to know, is this a route that you want us to go? My recommendation is that we take advantage of this opportunity with having that clump there, because CPI is real and it's 4.6, and that's a lot. And so I think it's very important that we look at every cost savings measure that we have for next school year. So that's my take on it, but I wanted to open it up and have you guys discuss it and be able to talk about it or ask any questions.
After sitting on personnel committee for the past number of years, my recollection of what the concerns were more of having a liability on the books. What concerns are they about that?
And if we do the TSA, we would not have that, right? So our health insurance company does not allow us to keep someone on health insurance if they're not actively employed. So what about Cobra?
So Cobra's, we can't deny anyone Cobra. So anyone who's employed at the district, and whether they leave on their own or terminated, they have access to Cobra for up to 18 months. The biggest liability, like in the past, where we gave retirees the option to, if they retired early, there was like a sum of money set aside for them. So we do have past retirees that are currently on our health insurance plan. And so when I talked with Joel from Tricor, and we were just kind of spitballing this idea, you know, would we actually save anything if we give them money and let them stay on our insurance? Because that is going to affect our loss ratio. Versus offering them a TSA and not staying on our insurance. Yes, they can opt for Cobra. We can't control that. We won't know that either. There's less risk involved with that option of here's a TSA versus what has been done.
So there's less long-term liability to the district by doing a TSA.
A TSA and yes.
But that only gives them 18 months of coverage, correct?
Yep.
So-
With Cobra, then they would go to the marketplace and get insurance.
And that doesn't
Or they
mean
could
that
do that right
everyone's
away.
going to
They could do that right away. Yep.
That doesn't mean that everyone's going to take Cobra.
Right.
I would say out of all of our employees that no longer work here, out of the 6 years that I've been here, I don't even know if the average would be, we probably have like average of 1.5 per year that choose Cobra. They might be on it an entire fiscal year. They might just be on it for 6 months. When they elect to go on Cobra, they pay the full premium and the full deductible. So the only skin that we have in the game is just if that's going to affect our loss ratio. That's the only skin that we have in the game.
And the full premium for that year is over $10,000, right?
It's
It's under 11.
Right now, it's around $14,000, and then
Oh,
there's a $14,000 like for the entire year, and then there's a $10,000 deductible. So they would have to pay that full premium, and then as they use it, they would be paying $10,000.
And they get the exact same insurance that we have had for those 18 months. They could go to the marketplace and get different types of insurance for less than that.
Again, in the personnel committee, this has been something that's been brought up by the staff for a number of times. I mean, they've been after this. A lot of requests for it. I guess my concern, if we would do this, to me, it doesn't seem fair to do it for a certain group. I would like to make this policy that this is what we would do. Not just because we've got 6 right now and then not do it 3 years later for somebody else who might qualify.
There's 2 ways you can do it. You can make a 1 year, just this is a one-time thing that we're doing, or you can put it in your handbook as this is what we do. They're both options, and you'll find schools that do both.
I think I'd like to see more numbers on it,
Which numbers would you like? Which more numbers?
just what it would be exactly written up that you were talking about.
Oh, okay. So you're okay with me
Just
just being more formal with it? Okay.
Are we strictly sticking to certified, or are we going to include all groups?
It's up to the group. I know our school board generally has said, hey, we want to
Right.
treat support staff and certified staff
Right.
similar.
Because the cost saving would be greater with the certified than the not.
Yes.
So maybe another number we might want to look at, to your point, Dan, is if we're thinking about doing this more long-term versus just a 1 year, just what do the next few years look like as far as
Yep.
who we have employed now?
We actually have a document that has that, right?
So we have some numbers, so if we would offer it this school year, and we're going to need to make that decision, because there's a timeline of certain dates that we have to hit. So if we were to offer it this school year and everyone who is eligible from a certified staff, if they would all take that, the 3-year potential savings is about $680,000, so on average, a little more than $225,000 over a 3-year timeframe.
The risk of doing it like all at once is, can we fill all those positions? I can't tell you right now, looking at that list, that we'd be able to fill all those positions with quality candidates. That's a concern that I have, but That's probably a 1 year, like the first year would be hard after that if we continued with it at all
If we
times.
if we offered it every single, you're saying like if we offered it every single year?
Right, the first year would be the hardest for all those things.
And where is the give and take then? Yes, we're paying less, but we're not getting those years of experience with our kids in the classrooms either.
So you're losing one and gaining the other.
That's why I'm bringing it to you guys, because I know that that's a cost savings, but that's, you're losing experience, it's walking out the door.
Right.
What was your minimum years in the local district?
That's really kind of whatever
You think like
they come up with
10
is,
to 15?
we're thinking 10 to 15 years of local
That's what we
experience
were, that's what.
and WRS eligible.
So what is that cutoff time that we would need to know? Is that something we would have to act on
Yeah,
in March? Or-
It's not too time sensitive. There's a timeline we have to follow. So once we approve that, we have to give everyone 45 days to consider it. And then they have to let us know they're interested by day 45. And then we have to give 7 days of a reconsideration period after that. So, I mean, we could still do this in April or May. We just have to follow that. You know, we like to know if people are gonna not come back by March so we can start the hiring process and get the earliest and the best. That's not a possibility with this.
Right.
And we were also thinking if we make the decision sooner, again, not that we want to rush this decision, but if we would make the decision sooner, we would know in time for when we start creating the contracts for next year, because those contracts usually go out to teacher middle of May, and then they're due back to us by the middle of June. Most teachers give them back to us before they leave for the summer. And those due dates are not a district due date, that's a state due date. That
We've got to extend contracts by May 15th and they have to be returned within 30 days of being provided. So that's why we use May 15th.
So we were using, we're gonna need some time to create those contracts, and ideally, if we know we're gonna have a handful of teachers not take those, then we wouldn't be creating contracts for people. So we were using that date and kind of working backwards. But we certainly can create those contracts if we want to look at the numbers a little more. And then somebody just would have returned a contract, and then if they decide they don't, if they're gonna choose to take this early retirement option, there's no liquidated damages as long as the decision is made by, is it July? I don't know the first date, it might be, is it July?
The July 1, I think it's July 1, July 15th, and then August 1st, I think, are the three cutoffs. Kind of, there's a waterfall.
So we would want to be aware of those, we wouldn't want anyone to return a contract not thinking that this was, oh, I haven't heard anything, so maybe this is off the table. They return their contract and now they're gonna incur liquidated damages.
So if you had an ask, what would that date be? When should we act on it?
We're thinking next board meeting.
So March.
That's, if you guys want me to do that, then we'll have everything ready and we'll have an action item.
If we want to be able to get the contracts to the teachers on May 15th.
So again, just to clarify what I'm asking for is I'm asking for, do you guys want me to proceed in this and have an action item? I'm not asking for your vote on whether you're going to vote yes or no. That's not today. If you want me to look into this, get something set, we can have that ready for an action item in March.
If you were to do this in future years, would you want that notification date to be earlier than that?
Most schools do it in October.
So maybe this year, if we did it, it would be a different date than.
Yeah, you can do it whenever, but I know Fenimore, when they did it, and Dodgeville did it 2 years, or last year, but they did not do it this year. They did that in October, so they had plenty of time.
In our Fenimore and Dodgeville, they're just doing it as a one-time option, not knowing if they're going to be able to offer it again. They're gonna wait 3 years, 5 years, and maybe offer it again at some point in time.
Yeah, it's a year by year
Depending on
thing. In Dodgeville, I'm not sure about Fenimore because I talked to the former superintendent of Fenimore, Jamie, at CISA 3 about this.
So if it's a cost savings this year, why isn't it continually a cost savings every year? When you're talking about a high dollar
Yeah,
staff.
That's the same question I asked. And what they said is when there's a big group, you obviously get more cost savings, where if it's just one or two, then if there's just one or two people retiring and you're getting $150 more a student, that you're gonna get $96,000 from the state, and only one or two people leave and they're making 100 and you replace her at 50, that 100,000 there certainly helps the raise for everybody else. They just said that's how they look at it. If they have enough people that by volume they're gonna save a lot, that's when they offer it. And in years where there's only one or two, there's not as big a cost savings. The average is still the same, but the whole number isn't.
To me, it would be a better recruitment tool to let the staff know that you can do this whenever you hit that number.
Yeah, I believe Platteville.
To me, it's
has
a
that.
cost savings would be a cost saving.
I think Platteville does it that way. I think that's in their handle.
Plus, it's a nice option for teachers, I think.
Like Dan said, a recruitment tool.
I would like to see more numbers, and if you want to put it on the.
I'd be comfortable in learning more, certainly for March.
Right.
So do we know exactly, Aaron, what numbers do you want us to bring back for the next meeting?
Do you guys want, how are we looking at the different classifications? Are we looking for certified staff, or are you looking for everybody?
Well, I would like to see the entire staff, but,
You break it down, sort of.
do they have to be the same number? I mean, if
Yeah.
The certified staff is $100,000 to the district and the non-certified staff is 75. I mean, does the buyout have to be the same?
So we can show you two different
Yeah,
options with.
I think our model that we showed has the same option. It's got a $12,000 TSA for everybody.
Would you have a $12,000 savings for a non-certified staff or an employee?
It's a savings, but the average savings was maybe 1,400. Where with certified, we're talking
Right.
30,000.
Right, yeah.
It's
So,
much smaller. I'm
Yeah.
looking
It's
at-
smaller, but I think there was maybe one person that just, with how that works out, that it would be negative.
Yep,
I think there
there's
was one.
3 certified staff that would be eligible if we offered it this year. And it's ranging anywhere from $2,000 to $6,600. And then there's one person that is showing where if we offer them a $12,000 TSA, we would end up losing money because of some of the benefit options
Yep.
that they have.
That's uncertified or not?
That's not
it's not certified.
And we're making assumptions that the people that we're replacing the certified and non-certified with, that they aren't going to need our benefit options.
A lot of the younger people we have stay on their parents' insurance through age 25.
So we're making that assumption. That doesn't mean that's gonna.
Right.
happen, but we're making that assumption.
And that number, that's if everybody takes it. I already know one person said, no, I'm not interested in that, I still like teaching. So,
And what is the buyout if they refuse our insurance? What do we,
It changes every year because it's based off of our insurance rates. So this year is around $5,500 is the buyout.
all right, so what I'm hearing is proceed, and you guys will want to see this is what it would look like if it was an every year option, this is what it would look like if it was it's a one-time option, and you want to see it broken down, look at it, certified, support, admin, over the next 3 years. Is that accurate? Is that what you guys want to hear?
And then what parameters do you want us to use for local years of service? We were looking at 10 to 15. Are you comfortable with that?
I think the 55-15 is.
I'd rather look at 15.
15 years
That's
old.
right, I
Okay.
think 20 would be better. 20 years is, they're getting rewarded a little bit more for their time here. 15 is not a long time.
You want to see 20? Or is 15 all right, or we want to see both?
I'm comfortable with
We
15,
can
but I'm
probably
open
show
to-
you both, it's not gonna.
Yeah.
If, it's not gonna take us that much to
No.
15,
It's
and if
not a
it's
ton of
20,
extra work
how
for
few
you.
people aren't going to qualify?
Yeah,
So then we can
adjust
take those people off that aren't gonna qualify.
I like to see both.
Okay, so you guys are aware that you're gonna see a lot of options. Okay,
Be a long time.
anything else? Any last comments?
No.
All right, we can move on to new business then. Chuck, do you want to go through kind of the buildings and grounds proposal? The buildings and grounds already,
Yeah, we had a
approved it.
meeting the other night. We got a water heater that's dying, a couple of them, and the fire alarm at the elementary is not functioning. So that is a high safety factor, so we got prices on those, which they only guarantee for a certain length of time, but they did hold pretty close to that, so I recommend that we get both of them taken care of before they go up again. So if anybody got any questions?
The total cost of those items, because there's several, a couple water heaters, right? And then the fire replacement panel, total cost would be about $31,000, and we're gonna be using ESSER $2 to cover those.
And I think this future proofs us too for if we did a renovation or things like that.
Everything that is in there can expand and adapts well to other systems.
For the fire alarm?
What we have right now does not,
No,
but the one Ben is recommending will adapt much better.
Yep.
Any questions on that?
Can we have a motion?
I'll move to approve the building and grounds proposal for replacements of end-of-life water heaters and fire panel as presented.
I'll second.
Collins.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Cole.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next one is approve the resolution authorizing the transfer of funds. Aaron?
yes, so this is what we did when we used mill rate management back at the annual meeting in October. When we do that, we're basically paying off our loan a little early. And these are all the papers that have to sign in order to do that. Brady and Coral worked on this with Baird. So anytime you do any type of defeasance, you have to go through and pay off a loan early. There's a lot of forms that you have to fill out. So this is just authorizing the fact that Gary and Megan can sign these.
Any questions on that? Anyone like to move?
I'll move to approve the resolution authorizing the transfer of funds, the establishment of an escrow account with respect to the defeance, that's right, of certain general obligation, school building and improvement bonds dated August 21st, 2017 as presented.
I will second.
Second.
Collins.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Cole.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next, approve the contract for new school pictures with
Yep.
Lifetech.
We have been using CB Studios for a long time. They are phasing into retirement. And last year, they told 25% of their schools, we're not doing your schools anymore. We made the first cut. This year, they said 25%, and we were in that 25%. So CB Studios is no longer going to be doing ours. We put out a bid to 3 different school photography places. Only one got back to us. That was Lifetouch. I know that they use them in Platteville. I worked with Lifetouch when I was a principal at Horicon. I've worked with them before. So this is the one bid that we got back. So this is the one we're recommending.
Just as a question, is that something we have to do professionally? Is that not anything we could do with a class of some sort, Julie, or?
Not
Is that
for
way
the
too
school
much?
district, I wouldn't recommend that.
Okay.
Smaller based, I would say, but that's a lot of people for a class to take on.
She would know better than any of us. So if Julie says no, then that's a
So
no.
that said, does this contract include those, just the district? Or I know we used CB for sports.
They're
and
still
stuff
doing it on sports
before.
pictures, right?
They are still doing sports pictures.
CB is
if we
still doing
choose to
sports
use them.
And do we have
it's
a
not-
contract with them?
Yes.
Do we have a contract with them?
I don't believe we have a contract for that.
I'm not aware that we have a contract, so. That's no contract.
Just maybe something we want to look at,
Look at,
like not using them if we.
Like if we had somebody on staff who's really good
Right.
at that type of stuff, and then
That's
she
what
would
I'm
want,
getting.
she would want to do that.
That person on staff needs to maybe offer that.
I think, I'm saying that's what Sarah was getting at. So if that person did decide, hey, this is something I'd like to do, we would not have to break a contract with CB.
Gotcha. Thank you.
But if that's also something that would overflow her plate, then we would continue to use CB. Julie, you do a great job. I think everybody's telling you.
Any other discussion? Do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve the contract for school pictures with Life Touch as presented.
I'll second.
Collins.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Hinderman. Yes. Cole.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Can I just ask a question regarding that, just as the yearbook advisor? Is Life Touch willing to work with Justin's on that aspect?
Check with, Dr. Kraus did the interview with Life Touch, so I was not involved in that, so check with her.
You said Platteville uses Life Touch. Does the high school? Because then I know the answer is yes.
Okay.
I just found out today from Nancy Davies, whose kids go to Life Touch, that they use them, so.
I have a kid that goes to Platteville and we order through Justin. So if Platteville uses Life Touch, then they do.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we had the motion and the.
Yep, we're all good, carried.
Perfect. Personnel.
Yep, this is to approve Ms. Cameo Updike Ames as our new middle school assistant play director. This was vacated by Mr. Sander, and Mrs. Williams is still our head director. But Mr. Buden, Dr. Kraus, and I all recommend that we approve Ms. Updike Ames.
No discussion? Somebody want to move?
I'll move to approve the hiring of Miss Cameo Updike Ames as the new middle school play director as presented.
I'll second.
Collins.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Hinderman. Yes. Cole.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Motion carried.
On the committee reports.
Budget and finance, we won't probably have our next meeting until May is when we'll have the first draft of the 22-23 budget. Buildings and grounds, we met in January, and we met for those things that we took action on tonight.
Right.
Communication review, strategic planning, we're scheduled for February 23rd is our next one. We heard that at our special board meeting today. Curriculum instruction assessment won't meet till summer. Personnel, we're meeting every month, so our next one, not February 9th, our next one will be in March. Policy, we met in October. I have not heard from our policy advisor. It's generally in the spring. We usually meet once in the fall, once in the spring, and once in the summer. Technology and transportation, no upcoming meeting is scheduled yet. I did have a meeting scheduled with Southwestern to talk about some transportation issues, but John had he was skiing and landed on his back a little funny, so he is laid up a little bit. So we did not have that meeting, but that's something that we'll have. And if anything comes from that, then we would have a tech and transportation meeting. Foundation, we're going to meet March 2nd with George Buchanan, and Gary is not here to talk about the CISA 3 thing. So that's it.
All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
A motion.
I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you guys. Have a great night.
Yes.